In news that has surprised literally nobody, Amazon Game Studios and Lost Ark have essentially went and screwed roughly half of their potential player base out of playing Lost Ark. Now, on the screen right now, you will see a list of countries that Lost Ark will be available within. If you do not see your country listed, then you will not be able to log in, nor will you be able to play the game when it releases on October 21st. Oh yeah. Right, good news, the game is launching in North America and some of Europe on October 21st. Taking a look at the Steam DB website earlier, I noticed that they went ahead here and updated the store release, which was originally fall 2021, and they changed that to October 21st, 2021. So that is promising news. So I was just about to set this video to encode. I refreshed the Steam page because I wanted to get a screenshot for the thumbnail when I realized that the release date has once again been changed to December 31st, 2021. This apparently happened approximately 8 hours ago. I do not for the life of me know why they changed this from the 21st of October to the 31st of December. I don't know if they messed up and announced the release date too early and it was by accident, but I am fairly certain that the 31st of December is still just a placeholder date, and I do feel like the 21st of October is probably still when we're going to get the game, but at the same time, man, come on guys, get your stuff together. Now, if you want to stay up to date with everything pertaining to Lost Ark or MMO news in general, make sure you scroll down, click that subscribe button, and become part of our community. So, a user on Twitter went and tagged the official Lost Ark Twitter page asking why Australia and New Zealand weren't included in the list of regions with access to the game. And I was honestly curious as to this as well. I am an Australian citizen. I was born in Australia. I lived in Australia for 27 years of my life. And as an Australian, playing MMOs with a ping of 200 to 300 was almost unbearable. Now, the response they received was more or less we didn't want to pay for publishing rights. And while there are several countries that have blocked Lost Ark due to their respective bans on loot boxes, the vast majority without access or merely because Amazon, once again, did not purchase publishing rights for each individual region in question. You might be wondering why that is though, because Amazon have really deep pockets, right? Many players are taking to social platforms and forums to speculate, but at the end of the day, does it even really matter? Now, don't dismay just yet. While this game will only be playable within a certain number of countries, that does not mean that you will not be able to play it. Much like the guide I have up for the Russian version of Lost Ark, the North American and the European versions of this game will be accessible as long as you access it via an IP originating within a whitelisted country. Meaning that if you want to play the official Western version of Lost Ark, you are going to require a VPN. I would personally advise a VPN like ExitLag here, as that's what I have urged our community to use for over a year now. It just works better, I feel, than the alternatives. But if you are unable to afford a decent VPN, and if you do not live within one of the countries listed in the screenshot at the beginning of this video, then unfortunately, yeah, you are out of luck. You will not be able to play the game, which is, in essence, Amazon and Smilegate killing Lost Ark and any potential it had to be a global success before even being given the opportunity to. Now, that isn't everything though. While a lot of you have been waiting years to be able to play this game and were met with a slap in the face, the game itself is not going to emerge unscathed. In an article on their website titled "Bringing Lost Ark to the West," Amazon went on to detail a number of different things, both positive and negative, including their approach to the game. Lost Ark is an enormous game. Having invested hundreds of hours into it, I can attest to this firsthand. It is an amalgamation of both the MMO and the ARPG genres, bringing the best of both respective genres together into a stunning game packed with thousands of NPCs, tens of thousands of lines of dialogue, and almost unending freedom to explore either by land or sea. Now, first, let's go ahead here and address a statement they made. We are partnering with Smilegate RPG to adjust areas of the game to better meet player expectations within Europe and North America. They did not go on to elaborate what areas in specific they were referring to, but it is a safe bet to assume it's probably something to do with the rates of progression, the direct accumulation of XP, of money, important aspects of the game that were tuned to fit the South Korean player base, but might not necessarily be as well received by a Western audience. Now, it is worth noting that they did go on to confirm that maintaining Smilegate's original vision for this award award-winning game is extremely important. Our intention is to provide the authentic Lost Ark experience for our players, and all of our localization efforts are being conducted through the lens of preserving the spirit of the original game. Further, through their blog post, they address the business model for the game. Lost Ark has been a free-to-play MMO in every region it has released in, and unlike Neo is with Bless Online, Amazon are keeping Lost Ark free for players. Yes, there are founders packs ranging all the way up to $100 that include some skins, some titles, character creation slots, and quality of life improvements. And yes, there are people that are already crying that not only are those improvements pay to win, but that the 3-day head start you get from purchasing one of the 3 founders packs is also heavily pay to advance. And while both of those claims are entirely subjective, I do want to draw attention to the fact that they state that they are working through the details as to what will be obtainable in game and what will be accessible via the cash shop. Currently, things are in open negotiation, but they have confirmed that they'll have more details later this summer. I do, however, want to add a very small little note here and point out that Amazon want to introduce XP boosts and other potentially pay-to-advance items into New World next year, so it would not be a stretch to assume there might be additives of a similar nature further down the line. Then they went on to discuss the content and the upcoming alpha test for the game. Yes, the alpha test was supposed to begin on June 11th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but after several hours, players with alpha access are still completely unable to access the game, with the Lost Ark Twitter claiming that they are experiencing issues that they can't elaborate on right now, and that things will be back up, well, eventually. And don't get me wrong, things like this are to be expected. Naturally, you have people on Reddit that are crying, that are whining and complaining, calling Amazon Game Studios a trash company because they're having issues with their alpha test, when in reality, alpha tests like this and subsequently beta tests are to prevent things like this from happening when the game officially launches. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys here. What do you expect an alpha test is for? One issue I did have with their alpha reveal was that they were missing several of the classes that are present currently in game, 2 of which are the core classes from the game that were present initially in every other regional release of the game. The Arcana, which is the class that I have played for over 100 hours now, and the Destroyer. I'm sure there is a perfectly valid reason for removing multiple of the classes from the game, but it is still a little bit disconcerting. They did state that they will be releasing regular updates concerning the game over the coming weeks pertaining to classes, continents, dungeons, and more after the game officially launches in October. As we approach the end of their blog post, they go on to address various additions and alterations that are going to be made to the core game. They state that there may be some content in the game that is unexpected for some Western audiences. Sometimes this can include cultural references, imagery, or nuances that are unfamiliar to us. While our goal is to preserve the authenticity of the original game, we also feel localization updates can be made to make the game feel more approachable and representative of our Western players. We're also actively working on changes that we believe will make our audience feel more at home within Lost Ark. Some areas of focus have been the character creation, knowing players of all types want a character that they feel represents them, such as more options for default costumes, more hairstyles, and more skin tones. Additionally, we're working to increase NPC diversity throughout the world of Arkisha. Now, it is definitely interesting that Amazon are taking the time here to make a number of alterations to various different aspects of the game, specifically the character creation, NPC diversity, and the core storyline. I'm not sure whether these changes are necessarily warranted either, and I guarantee you that a lot of players are going to be upset that this is not going to be a 100% faithful port. Now, at the end of the day, Amazon Game Studios and Smilegate had the opportunity here to localize an MMO that players have been eagerly anticipating for years now. An action MMO that could actually make an impact in the genre as a whole, one that could have hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of players playing concurrently. But Amazon and Smilegate agreed to IP block quite a bit of the interested player base, and unfortunately, regardless of how excited North American and some European players are, the game will still not reach anywhere near the heights it could have otherwise. Lost Ark has been crippled before even being given the opportunity here to take off. From IP blocks to releasing in a window where we have just so many other MMOs like Swords of Legends Online, PSO2 New Genesis, Allion New World, and Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker expansion, to frightening the player base by putting what might be considered pay to advance into founders packs. A number of mistakes have already been made, and if New World is anything to go off of, there are going to be even more made as we make our way to the full release of the game. Now, Mrs. Stix and I are still going to be playing Lost Ark. We both enjoyed this game immensely. We're also going to continue streaming this over on our Twitch channel when the game goes into closed beta testing, if of course we get given keys or access to the closed beta, which, you know, admittedly after this video they might not necessarily be willing to grant us, but due to the fact that a lot of our viewers will not be able to play with us, it is definitely going to hinder some of the enjoyment that we would have otherwise gotten out of the game. And I honestly believe that these issues are definitely going to be a part of the reason why this game ultimately fails over here in the West. But you know what? I would love to be proven wrong though. Seriously, truly, I would. I would love for Lost Ark to succeed, even with how much they are hindering it. But I just don't think it will.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make